You're watching E.T.N. Share and subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob. This video, I'm going to do my first Final Fantasy Brave Exvius video that I've done in a while. It's been some time since we've done this. And I want to do this video because they're celebrating the 3rd anniversary this month. I saw the live stream the other day, and I wanted to do a review of this game over the last 3 years, how it's evolved from the time I first started playing it up to this point. I know there's a lot of people who play this game. There's a lot of new players that come in, and I always like to gear some of my game videos for newer players. So I want to share my thoughts on this. If you're a new player considering playing this game, or you're just getting into it, this might be a good video for you. And even if you're a veteran player, I'm just sharing my thoughts as a player that's played just as much as anyone. I know there's a lot of great content creators out there that cover the game. Howl, Clake, these are all, I kind of miss Evil Laughter, but all these great content creators. And up until recently, when it came to this game, I was always very inconsistent about doing videos about it because I always like to cover other topics in my channel. But I definitely wanted to come and give some share my thoughts on what this game has been like over the last 3 years, and even compare it in terms of value to other mobile games that you might be playing. I've played a ton. Raid Shadow Legends, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, Marvel Strike Force, Summoners, I mean, you name it. I've played them. I played a lot of gacha games. So I started playing Final Fantasy Brave Exvius in August of 2016, which was about 2 months after it came out. It came out in June, I believe. And from that point forward, I pretty much logged in every day. I've always played, and I've tried to, I've obviously spent money, but I've tried to keep my spending to a minimum. I've been very lucky. Honestly, in fact, just recently I got very lucky. We're doing those 3rd anniversary tickets, and my first set of anniversary tickets that I got, I actually got 2 UOC tickets, which is, I didn't even expect to get one. I knew that when I saw them in the pool that the drop rate for them was probably like 0.2, yet I got 2 already. So I figure that's probably my quota. I probably won't get any more. But if you're a new player getting to this game, it is probably one of the best mobile games to get into. The reason I say this is because first of all, I find that the currency in this game is much more accessible than most other games. You could easily, if you practice patience, and I don't even mean the kind of patience that's required for other games that you really have to grind. When I say patience, as you play through the story, you can collect lapis and things of that nature. So you can accumulate lapis rather quickly, depending on how much time you have. Energy is going to be probably your biggest weakness in the early going as a new player because you'll run out of it really quick. But the lapis is there to make. The other thing I love about Final Fantasy Brave Exvius over most other games is content. The story is still going. After 3 years, they're still doing chapters and they're still doing storylines. The story continues. The story is actually pretty good. Other games don't do that. I've played Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes for over a year and no story content whatsoever. It's just a grind. You go in there, you grind shards every day to get some of the best characters, and that's fun for a while, and after a while it's like, okay, I'm done. But not Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. If you listen to the community, I know the community this week is very upset because apparently we're getting some 50% trust Moogles for our reward for the end of the story event, where in Japan they got a Super Trust Master Moogle. I can say this, in my opinion, I don't pay attention to Japan. I don't really care. Like what they do in Japan is what they do. That's not to say that the player base does not have a right to complain about this. I understand there's a sense of fairness. But every now and then on the global side, we get little treats, and we're getting a new character later on this month that is going to be which is going to be global exclusive. If they ever get it in Japan, it won't be too much later. So, there's a trade there. People prefer the Super Trust Master Moogle, obviously, but who knows? This could be one of the strongest characters we've ever had, and nobody knows yet. So, I think there's a trade-off there. Now, that's not to say that Gumi has not stumbled along the way. They've made a lot of mistakes. And I have to be fair here. While they've made many mistakes, for the most part, they have always come back and listen to the community. Sometimes not as quickly as people would like. Maybe sometimes the compensation is not as robust as people would like. But I have to say, when playing all these other games, they at least put in the effort to continue to give content. And it's not always content you got to pay for. In fact, it's not content you have to pay for. You know, you get these trials, you don't got to pay for that. You get more story, you don't got to pay for that. The more story you get, the more lapis you can make. Lapis is very important in this game because that's what gives you the opportunity to pull. As a newer player, you know, you come in and you'll probably get a lot of goodies and, you know, a lot of lapis, and you want to save that lapis for ground-breaking characters. They come in, I would have to say, 2 to 4 times a year. You know, this year we got a lot of groundbreaking characters pretty clustered together. We had Esther 1 week, and then 2 weeks later we got Axstar, and then we got Zero. You know, or I think it's called Zero. I never got him, but I got Axstar and I got Esther. I think the game overall is one of the best mobile games you can play, honestly. I know if you're a new player or a player that's just shortly into the game, you'll hear a lot of complaining from the veteran players. And their complaints are valid, but don't let that deter you. What it is when you do get to the end game of this, you are more or less just waiting for the next trial, waiting for the next chapters to open, waiting for the next story event. When you get to the end game, it's like any end game of any other game. Like, for example, if you play an MMO, all right, once you get to the end game of an MMO, what does it become? It just becomes raiding every week or loot hunting every week. The progression is ended. In this game, it's much the same for a lot of veteran players. Once we get to the end game, the progression is ended other than the story, which you get a story. The story, I would say, they set up new chapters for the story at least once a month, sometimes once every 2 months, sometimes a little bit longer. Recently, it's been pretty often, but there was a point where it was like once every 3 or 4 months. So, but if you're a new player coming in, there's tons of content to look forward to. The super end game right now is very heavily dependent on the amount of 7 stars you have, but most of the trials that are there right now, most of the heavy hitting and tough bosses that are there right now can be done with 6 stars. So don't feel forced when you come into this game. Don't feel like you're forced to try and get a 7 star. You know, go in, do the best you can, grab your characters, whatever summons you get, and just go at it, you know. I still think there's some rules that apply to this game when you're a new player that really haven't changed. The number one thing, your number one goal going in is to do the story. Progress through the story, save your lapis. And I mean save it. Don't save it till 5,000 and pull an 11 plus 1. You're going to want to save a lot of lapis, and you're going to want to save it until there's a character that pops up that is undeniably worth pulling for. When I say undeniably, they have to make a difference, a huge difference. Characters in the past that you could pull for that I would say make a huge difference, that are like game changing, and you know, when I say game changing, at the time they came out, they changed the meta. You know, so like more recently, Esther right here, she's a game changer. She was the Easter, and she's not a limited time pull, so you have a chance to pull her. Axstar, of course, recently came out. A couple of months before that, Heal was the big one. Heal was the one that you wanted, you know. And the thing of it is, while these banners have passed already, there will be opportunities for them to be pulled again. There are usually special events that happen where they'll put some of the better characters in a bundle and you can pull for them. You know, other game-changing characters, Lotus Mage Fina is one of the best healers in the game, and as far as I know, once she gets her awakenings, she becomes very, very like god tier. Really, really good. Another one is Ayaka. You know, these are probably the 2 most premier healers in the game right now, along with Folka. Folka's another excellent healer. Let me see if I can pull her up. She's further down. I'll pull her up. And, you know, and these are the kind of characters you want to keep an eye out for. Characters that change the game. Orlando is kind of, his time has passed now, but if you're a new player and you happen to pull this guy, you're good for a very, very long time. He still has exceptional value for new players. He is still one of the best characters you can pull if you're just starting this game. So even though you hear people talking about Esther and Axstar and Zero and all these other like CG Charlottes coming out this week, which I can't wait for, if you pull Orlando and you're a new player, you're set. You are set, especially if you find him a chainer. You know what I mean? So, Onion Knight. This is another character that still has value for a new player. These are characters you want to look out for if you're just starting this game. Noctis is another one. These characters were game changers when they came out, but they still offer value to new players. These are characters you'll use for a long time that will carry you through most of the early part of the game, even the later part of the game, because we're facing bosses now that are geared towards 7-star characters, but I would say 80% of the content right now you can still do with the 6-star characters. So, don't worry about 7 stars when you come in. Do not. That's not important when you're starting the game. Someone like Lauren is another good pull. She's not a game changer, but it's another good character. She's a good breaker, a good chainer. So if you're a new player, there's a lot to walk into that you're in a good position to enjoy this game. Veteran players that have been there since day one, they've had to deal with a lot of frustrations with this game, with the ups and downs for Gumi. So I definitely understand where they're coming from. But, overall, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius is one of the best mobile games out there right now. I played Raid Shadow Legends. It got boring quick. I played Star Wars. It got boring. I played Marvel Strike Force. If you don't have money to splurge, don't bother. That game is very money hungry. It's a lot of fun, but it's very much like Galaxy of Heroes, only you got to spend a lot more money. Galaxy of Heroes is the same way. You can grind both those games, but it'll take you a couple of years if you're going to go free to play. With this game, free to play is a little bit more favorable because of the fact that you can collect so much in-game currency. And even if you decide to spend money, you can spend money on certain bundles that don't really cost a whole hell of a lot. I'll give you an example here. Down here, this bundle right here, which gives you a ticket for every day of the month. You know what I mean? First, you get a 5-star ticket right off the bat. And then every day after that first day, you got the 5-star and then a 3-star. And then every day after that, you got to, that's 30 pulls. And that's only $11.99, and that's not a bad deal considering you get a 5-star ticket. Sometimes you'll see there's another fountain bundle they have. I hope they don't get rid of it, but it's called the Fountain of Lapis. That bundle is $6.99, and you get 5,000 Lapis for the month. Every day I think you get 275. So sometimes there's bundles that are completely worth it, and I think even if you're a free-to-play player, it doesn't hurt to invest $6.99 in a bundle that's going to give you 5,000 Lapis for the month. So again, the currency, in my opinion, here is a lot more accessible. You go into the story mode. This is Lapis, so you'll start in Grand Shell. Excuse me, up here. I'm not in Lapis, actually. I was in Palladia. But what I'm trying to say is, when you go into these places, you see here all these stars, and every quest you get 60 Lapis here, right? Then when you get to the end of a certain stage, the last stage will give you 100 Lapis. You know what I mean? So like up here, 40, 20, 60, you get 100 Lapis here. And then when you finish the whole section, you get 100 Lapis for completing that as well. So just good stuff. You get 100 Lapis every time you level. When there's certain events going around, like, for example, the story event is a great way to farm Lapis. You will have a hard time doing the story event in the very beginning when they come out, but once you are able to kind of grind it a little bit, you can make a couple of thousand Lapis on a story event. So there's always Lapis to be made. There's always opportunities to pull. A lot of people are not big on daily summons. I still truly believe in daily summons. I've done a daily summon every day since playing this game, and I have gotten my share of rainbows. And I've gotten a lot of characters through the rainbow pull, through the 250 daily pull. So it's up to you. Some people don't like to invest the 250 Lapis. They like to save it. In the early going, you probably don't want to spend it either. But once you get a regular flow of Lapis coming in, and you will do that. You will get that. Do your quest, do your story mode. I would recommend doing it. You also have this here. Every day you spend 5 times, you have a chance to win Lapis, and then every time you do it, 100 times I think you do it, you get 500 Lapis. So there's Lapis to be made here. There's in-game currency to be made, and I think in this game is the easiest game to get in-game currency. So you'll be pulling a lot. You'll have opportunities. The important thing is to pull for the meta-changing characters. Skip mostly everything else. Unless there's something in need, you know. But overall, I think Final Fantasy Brave Exvius is probably one of the best mobile games to play. So if you're a new player looking for a mobile game, that's your type of game, I highly recommend this if it's something you're considering. Other games like Raid Shadow Legends and Summoner's War and stuff like that, those games I find just to be, you're forced to pay money. In certain situations, you're forced to pay money. This game, I never felt forced to pay money. If you play it smart and you pull on the right banners, your money will be well invested. Your in-game currency will be well invested. So, but that's my thoughts. I think after 3 years overall, the game's still very good. It's had hiccups. It's had bumps in the road, but for the most part, I think in the end, it's still one of the best mobile games to play. And if you're a new player, it's more advantageous to you now to start playing than it would have been back when I started, because the game was new. There were a lot of bugs. There were a lot of issues. There weren't that many characters. and now there's an abundance of characters. It does make it a little bit harder to pull certain things you might want, but that doesn't mean you won't get a good character that's worth it, especially in the early game. Pretty much most of the characters are doable. It's when you get to the late early game, I'll say, not late game. Late early game where you're going to start wanting characters that can do more. But I think equipment is more important in this game than anything else. And unlike a lot of those other games I was referring to, this is not one of the games where you equip pieces of armor. You got to upgrade them to 1 tier, 2 tier. No, you have to go out there. You have to fight trials for them. You have to do the story events and get the currency to buy them. This is currency that you don't have to pay money for. You just get it naturally by playing the game. And then once you equip them, you don't have to worry about upgrading their stats. The only way you do that is much later in the game. You'll go in here and you'll want to get my cat's bugging out right now. You'll want to go. He always bugs out at this time of night. Look, he's going nuts. He's running up the stairs. 3 in the morning and my cat doesn't know how to act. Sorry about that, guys. But anyway, yeah, later on in the game you'll go in here and you'll want to buff up certain items and stuff. But anyway, guys, that's it for this video. I know it's pretty long, but I kind of wanted to give as much information as possible. I'll do some more Final Fantasy Brave Exvius videos. I mean, I've been playing the game so long, it's almost no excuse for me not to do content regarding this game, because a lot of the content creators, I'm pretty much on par with what they're doing in terms of characters and equipment and stuff like that. So and I do love the game. I play it every day, so I should definitely cover it some more. So I wanted to start off with an overall 3-year review and understand the veteran players have a right to feel the way they feel, but I don't think any of what they're complaining about pertains to you if you're a new or early game player. Just enjoy the game. Don't worry about that stuff, because it'll be a while before you get to the point where you have anything to complain about. But if nothing else, the road will be fun. The game's been a lot of fun for me. I've been playing 3 years, and I play a lot of games. Anyway, guys, that's it for this review on Final Fantasy Brave Exvius after 3 years. Please, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. And if you're not new and you've been here, definitely hit that notification bell. That's it. This is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.
Thank you for watching E.T.N. Click here to watch more content. Don't forget to leave a comment. Also, make sure you like and share this video. If you want to know when the next video is up, click the notification bell next to the subscribe button. And most of all, make sure to click that subscribe button for regular content.